Okay, everyone, can you hear me? We had a technical delay there. I'm sorry about that. We're going to try and fix that and make sure we get that fixed before we have some interviews coming up. But I am live here on YouTube streaming until I either pass out, hit a subscription goal, or go well over 24 plus hours straight. And we had a technical issue there. I apologize for the delay and the link change. There are several places I'm going to have to go to change that link now because we had a technical issue. So let's see here. I'm posting this link in a few places so you guys know where to find me and know where I'm streaming live from now. Again, apologize for the delay. Hey, Man Crusher, did that? Can you tell me what you're seeing? Is the old link referring over to this link? What's going on with the feed you were watching that got canceled? Glad you're here, Justin. I appreciate you showing up, like you said. But I'm interested in what you guys saw because the link changed because there was some major technical issues going on. And I want to know what other people are seeing so I can kind of get them the right information. I have to change this link in a bunch of different places, but whatever. It started. We're going. Everything's going to be fine. We are live streaming, and I am not going to stop until I either pass out, hit our subscription goal, or just go as far as I can into the 24 plus hour range. Man Crusher, is this kind of there? Okay, good. Perfect. And you can see in here, good. Okay, so I'm a little bit bummed because the setup I had, I'm going to try and fix and set up the next. I might even end this stream and start a new stream if I can get the other app working that I was using that crashed on me. I had tested it thoroughly and it worked fine, and then it crashed right at the start time. But that app allows me to do a lot of the interviews, use all the different camera angles and whatnot. So I really do need to try and fix that so I can get this this show going the way that I need to get it going in order to do all the things that I plan, which are live interviews with a bunch of people. And that is not going to go over well with the current setup, which I'm doing through just YouTube's basically live feature that they have built into the site. Random question, but do you college basketball? Yes, I love March Madness. Justin's asking if I'm into the March Madness. That's probably one of my favorite times of the year, almost equally as much as football. Is the bracketology stuff. I love that. Get into that big time. Maybe I'll do a bracket. I'm usually pretty good at it, but I do a lot of the crazy type scoring where you get double points for every round. Or your points like go for round times seed. And so there's a lot of upsets in that type of bracket and scoring. So that's definitely the kind of bracket I like to play in. Yeah, this is a big bummer that I don't have my current app rolling. I was very excited about all the things. I have 3 different camera angles. I have a marker board, basically everything set up perfectly for this live stream. So I have to figure out how I'm going to fix that while I'm doing this without interrupting this. And yeah, Wreckham Tech. Joseph, I don't know what happened. I don't even have time to look at what happened. Derek, glad you're here. Slim Killa, glad you were here, my friend. Man Crusher, Justin. I'm so bummed right now. I was so happy to have this set up the perfect way. I have to get on that because I have an interview. I'm bringing on a lot of people onto the show. Hopefully I get it all fixed in time. Guys, if you're listening and you're going to be on the show, I have to fix this before we can roll. Otherwise we're gonna have to do audio only, which is going to be a huge bummer. So I'm gonna have to do that while we're all chatting away here. So it's going to be a little time crunch for me. But I have so much to go over. Man, all my graphics are gone. This is a total bummer. What a way to start. Technical snafu here. Anybody have any fantasy questions or ways to kick off this show fantasy wise? Anybody looking at some news, some Todd Gurley buzz going around? My Todd Gurley will bust in 2019 predictions weren't going over so well comment wise, and people, viewing that were not super happy. I'm sure a lot of it were people that own Todd Gurley, and that's understandable. Knee jerk reactions for people that own him in Dynasty. Who wants to hear that I'm saying their player is going to bust? But even across the industry, I've seen and heard some underhanded comments about how, I'm reckless saying that Todd Gurley's going to bust and he's just hurt. And first of all, people that speak on it seem to not watch the videos that I'm posting on it and don't see all the things that I'm saying, all the red flags that I'm calling out, because I hear weird comments like, well, he's hurt. Once he gets healthy, you don't think he's going to get healthy. I speak about all that in my predictions and all the videos I posted everywhere on Instagram, everywhere, that Todd Gurley has something else going on. And even if he says he's not hurt, he probably is. And there's rumors kind of sprinkling around news wires that he might have some kind of knee issue, or that might come out soon. And then you're going to have people say, well, yeah, that explains it. But the bottom line is he looks like he hit a wall, and that happens all the time. It's not uncommon for a running back to fall off the face of the earth during the middle of a season where he's doing well. I just think that there's a good chance he is the biggest risk in 2019, given his value, given that you have Kamara, McCaffrey, all these other players that are safer, much, much safer right by him where you're drafting him. So in redraft, I think it's crazy to draft him as high as his ADP. And in Dynasty, if there are people that are still willing to buy, I would sell high. Okay, so what do you guys think about the James Conner bust predictions that I'm talking about? That James Conner is one of the biggest risks going into 2019 as well. Not a very popular video or videos or podcasts that I've put out there, because I put a lot out there on that. Todd Gurley and Conner I've put out a lot on. But yeah, Oliver, Jalen Samuels is a huge steal. It kind of depends where his ADP climbs here in the next few months, but you have so much risk and red flags because you have Samuels, you have Eddie Faulkner, now the running backs coach in Pittsburgh. And I've said this a bunch in my videos, so I apologize if you've seen this over and over, but at NC State, his running back was Jalen Samuels, and Jalen Samuels was a really good receiving back, and that was his main guy. So there's a connection there. And if you think that isn't going to come into play, you aren't looking at it objectively. And as I tell people that rip on my James Conner bust predictions, you're just jealous you didn't get him. They clearly haven't seen that he was my number 2 bold prediction last year. I loved James Conner, and I tied that prediction to Jalen Samuel, saying the duo would save and win fantasy leagues for people. And that was before Bell was going to hold out at all. So Bell holding out wasn't even considered in that prediction. But I think that the fact that Faulkner is there, and Faulkner you look to Samuels, to be a big part of that offense. And he even was when Conner came back. It wasn't like they phased Samuels out completely. The fact that they don't have Antonio Brown there, the fact that, this is going to be his first season, as the starter, if they even anoint him the starter, I predict that there could be even some craziness around that. People thinking, oh, he's for sure going to be called out the starter. But we don't know that. We don't know if James Conner will be for sure the starter. We just don't know. And there could be some crazy, interview where Faulkner or someone else in that coaching staff just says one small thing like, oh, we're going to run them both out there as much as we can. And boom, down goes Conner's ADP. And I'm going to read some of these comments here. Sorry. Carry On Johnson, the Alliance podcast. Yes, he is a big sleeper. He has some injury concerns for me. I definitely don't know. I think if they draft a rookie running back, and rookie running backs are always a good value in the draft. So there's a good chance a team like that they don't go looking for a big name running back early on, but they fall to him later in the draft, and then you can pair Kerryon Johnson with that rookie running back, and then I think together that is a very safe player, given the coaching staff is going to change everything and turn into a ground and pound type offense, which is bad for those Detroit receivers, which is bad for Matthew Stafford, which is, that offense won't be as exciting through the air by any means. But Kerryon Johnson, by default, if he stays healthy, will have the volume of a top 10 running back. So that's another sleeper to throw out there. Should you trade, this is from Nick, trade Christian McCaffrey at $127 million for 1 year for Anthony Miller, 17 for 4, DJ Moore, 18 for 4, George Kittle, 11 for 1. I do not trade Christian McCaffrey unless you're getting that other person's left arm or leg. That is not a move I would make. That's the best player in the deal. I don't care about the money necessarily, because I would spend the money on a Christian McCaffrey if I freed up that money. I'm not exactly sure how your structure works with your money and how much everybody has and all that. So I can't really speak to all the money angles of this trade. But, if McCaffrey is priced reasonably in your format, I do not trade him. You can get a lot more from McCaffrey. That's probably a pretty low ball offer, I would say. So if you're getting McCaffrey, then go get him. Yeah. Yeah, it's still hard for me to grasp the budget, Nick, but I still think that if he is a good value across the board compared to other running backs, I would definitely make that trade. But back on point with Connor. So Eddie Faulkner, running backs coach, the fact that they didn't phase Samuels out toward the end of the year, the fact that Samuels is probably just as gifted as Connor, and you can make that argument with me that he's not, that's fine. The fact that Connor doesn't necessarily have a resume to prove that he can handle the workload, not just of a normal starter, of the Pittsburgh Steelers running back position that gets a volume, bigger than most running backs. And will that change? Will that even get bigger? Will they want to use both of them a ton because they don't have Antonio Brown and they need to run the offense even more through the rushing game? I mean, there's just and the point isn't that I don't like Connor, that I don't think at a good value I would take him, but at a top 7 to 10 overall pick, which is where his ADP is kind of falling, there's too much risk there. Definitely too much risk. I'm going to, as I talk here, try and fix this live stream here from the other app. So if I schedule, let's see. So if anybody has any questions, toss them out, and let's get going on some Q&A. What do I think of, will Bell bust next season? So Garrett, you might want to check the last couple of videos I have on that, because I definitely am a big supporter of Le'Veon Bell at his current ADP and value, because Le'Veon Bell has, I think, right around close to outside the top 10 ADP for running backs, which is crazy because you have a lot of people that don't even want to draft him at all, no matter what. And so they're driving his ADP down a little bit. But I think that you're going to see his ADP climb a ton. For me, he's number 5 or number 6 overall for 2019. That's quite high in a lot of people's eyes because that's right after the big 4. So you got Barkley, Elliott, you have Christian McCaffrey, and Kamara. And then for me, I think Bell is right there. Bell is really close to being the 5th or 6th, at least 6th running back in my book, because, and yes, assumptions have to be made as to where he's going to land, but I think Le'Veon Bell will land in a good position to get a ton of work. He'll land in a good offense. There's always a chance that he goes somewhere I don't like, but the odds are a team willing to pay him the big dollars, it's not going to be the money that he wants, I predict, but anybody willing to give him the kind of money that a running back like he commands, and he will command it. People saying he's done or whatever, he's going to get it. Some team is going to give it to him. And I think that he's going to land in a place that's going to be potent and explosive. And yes, being out for a year does sometimes lead to injury. There's rumors about him being 260 pounds. Don't buy into that crap. Those word on the street rumors. I think they even got shot down real shortly after they were posted. But Le'Veon Bell is a special talent, probably one of the best running backs in the league still, talent wise. And does he have 3 or 4 years left given his workload? No, but 1 to 2, yes. Especially with the time off, if he can stay healthy, if he's in good shape, if he's in a good offense that feeds him a ton. He's a 60 plus 70 reception running back. And if he lands in Kansas City, who here, so post in the comments, who here would not rank Le'Veon Bell in their top 2 running backs if he landed in Kansas City? I'm not saying he will. There's not a whole lot of rumor to him going to Kansas City, but if he landed in Kansas City, and earmuffs for all of you Damian Williams owners, because I am pulling for him to be the starter, but who here would not want Le'Veon Bell as a top 1 to 2, at least top 3 running back if he's in Kansas City? I mean, honestly, tell me that his ADP won't skyrocket into that range if he lands in Kansas City. If he lands in a Colts uniform, probably right around 5 to 6 for most people, because by default, unless it's Kansas City, by default, I don't think he pushes any of the top 4 studs out of their positions because those guys are locked in pretty good. Am I selling on Philip Lindsay Michael? I am not selling, and I'm not buying necessarily. If you have him in Dynasty, you probably got him at a very, very cheap value. So unless you can sell high, I don't sell him and I keep him because I think the upside is there. There's a little bit of doubt around him, I think. So my guess is that it's going to be hard to sell him high. But if you can, depends on who you can get. So it's kind of tough to answer that question. It's kind of I don't have a blanket answer for that. But Lindsay is definitely a player I would keep an eye on as his ADP moves around. And if you think you're at his max value and you can sell him high, not a bad idea to sell him high. But it just depends on who you can get. But I do like Lindsay a lot. Dave, you're asking, will Foster be a top 15 to 20 wide receiver in Buffalo? I think he could be. He's definitely, don't draft him higher than that. He needs to be a sleeper. Foster needs to be a guy that you're stealing away from people, and then you're hopeful that he sneaks into your wide receiver 3 spot and then outplays it by a ton. But you can't expect him to be. But I really like Buffalo. I like where Buffalo's going. I like where they're headed, and I think they're going to improve. The draft, free agency, a lot can change for Buffalo, but I think they're one of those exciting teams that can really turn things around in 2019 and beyond. I really like Josh Allen. Obviously, he is my number 1 ranked rookie QB from this class. But I do have to say that Baker Mayfield, the guy that I did, and I'm admitting here that I was a little harsh on Baker Mayfield coming into this league. But I definitely think Baker Mayfield has huge upside, and I love what Cleveland's doing. And I think that Baker Mayfield now is clearly the top QB in that class. And I think Baker Mayfield has breakout potential to the tune of a top 5 QB this year in fantasy. So don't draft Baker Mayfield that high. You probably don't need to. He kind of has a little bit of the not in terms of what he's going to score. I'm not predicting that he's going to have the season that Mahomes had, but how doubted Mahomes was, even though people saw him coming. That's kind of the whiff I'm getting of Baker Mayfield's value coming in the coming 2019 August and September drafts and all that. So keep that in mind. And then in Dynasty, you can trade for Baker probably lower than you should. But in Dynasty, people are pretty excited. So if someone owns them, they might not be selling pretty cheaply. Let's see here. Next question I have is, do you think I missed one up here? If you have another question I missed, you just post it again, if you don't mind. But so definitely going to be a long night for me. I have to fix this streaming issue that I